I'm going to show you how to make this sheet metal basin with two unique parts. Here we go. Okay, so the question is how to make this with four pieces welded along the seams that are represented by these work planes. I would, if this is a rectangle, I'd make two parts and pattern it in an assembly. I wouldn't bother with these transition breaks down here. I would just make it the one seam, and then the bit of oblong profile where the pipe intersects, I would just make that cut in the pipe, but that's a personal preference thing. But here's how I do it. I've defined my rectangle as 16 by 12 inches with a 3-inch circle in the middle, and now I've made a sketch from that center line of the profile I'd like. So I know this edge I want it to be 110 degrees, and this other sketch is just meeting it at that same center point. So then I'll use a contour flange, and I'll say I want it to go in this direction towards where I have these meeting here, and I want to flop the direction so this is to the outside, so my sketch is representing the inside face of this basin. And for my distance, I'm going to select the length, and I'm going to divide that by 2. And then I'll do the same thing for this other side. The only difference is I'm going to make a new body this time. And so now I flip this over, it's on the right side, and then I'll use this dimension and divide that by 2. Now what I'll do is I'll cut off the excess, and so I'll use cut, and I can use this original sketch, which works out pretty slick. And I'll select those two profiles, and I'll say I want to cut this solid. Now I'm going to select this box that says cut normal, and what that'll do is instead of just slicing right through the part, it'll make the edge where it's bent perpendicular to the plate, which is nice. And then I have to change this from the distance of thickness to cut through all, and I'll hit OK, and then I can do that one more time, just selecting the other side, this solid this time, cut through normal, all. Now if I turn off those sketches, we'll see we have two parts, and if I zoom in on that edge, you can see that it's perpendicular to the plate, which is what I want. Now you might want to add some gap in there, but that could be done after the fact. But this is basically what we want. The only thing that we need now is we want to mirror the bodies. So I'll select this body, and I'll say mirror it that direction, and I'll select, select the body, mirror it in the other direction. Now our parts are done. Now I can go into here, and I'll just name them side 1 and side 2. And now I can push those to an assembly, and I want to create a new assembly. I'm going to call it Basin, and it's just asking me what templates to use, and that's fine. And then in the assembly, that's where I take those two parts, and then I would pattern them about the central axis. And so I want 2 of these to be 180 degrees apart, and there you go. We have our basin sink, and like I said, I would cut this profile out of the pipe that mates in here instead of trying to form these round, but that's personal preference, and maybe need to do the other way, but that's one way to make that sink. And this is probably a little thin, so what we can do is we can go back to our master part, and we'll just define a new default, and we'll say the default is, I don't know, maybe 14 gauge stainless steel, save and close. And so that makes it a little bit thicker. And then if we go into our assembly, just hit update, you see everything bounces in nicely. And then if I open up one of these parts, I can create a flat pattern, and I export that to DXF and send it off and get it made. Thanks for watching.